Good evening. I'm Orson Welles.
Many of Orson Welles' diaries and scripts and other material are heading off to an archive. This includes many different materials that he had been working on: letters, postcards, diaries, all different kinds of sketches, even dating back to his time as a teenager. Many unpublished works, many incomplete projects, things from the 1950s, from the 1960s, ending up at the University of Michigan. Much of that material also came from his daughter, Beatrice Welles, who had kept this enormous trove of memorabilia for many years and was glad to share some of these materials, which I think have enormous, extraordinary really, and unique value in American dramatic history. For example, it includes heavily annotated scripts for Chimes at Midnight, perhaps his most rigorous and certainly his most originally Shakespearean film ever.
We do not know, my lord.
I would to God, my lords, he could be found. Inquire at London, mongst the taverns there. For there they say he daily doth frequent, with unrestrained loose companions. Even such they say as stand in narrow lanes and beat our watch and rob our passengers, which he, young, wanton, and effeminate boy, takes on the point of honor to support so dissolute a crew.
If manhood, good manhood, be not forgot upon the face of the earth, then I'm a shot and herring. There lives not 3 good men unhanged in England, and one of them is fat and grows old. God help the while.
How now, woolsack?
A king's son. If I do not beat thee out of thy kingdom with a dagger of lath, and drive all thy subjects afore thee, like a flock of wild geese, I'll never wear hair and be face bore you, Prince of Wales.
Why, you horse and round man?
You fat guts.
What's the matter?
Are you not a coward? Answer that.
He'd also worked on other scripts for other works like Ulysses. There was one that he worked on for many years. I remember coming across that name many times. How could you forget something with a title like The Unthinking Lobster? And then there was the script for The Fountain of Youth, which was a pilot that was done and as an attempt to establish a television series for Desilu production. The pilot did air, and in fact even won a Peabody, but for some reason the series was never realized after. And I must say that if you can, you must see The Fountain of Youth. It is a truly masterful dramatic arc with cleverness and with symmetry and with trickery about and with great humor.
Orson Welles speaking. How would you like to stay just as young as you are, not to grow a day older for the next 200 years? No, I'm not plugging some new miracle cosmetic. The question is actually faced by the characters in our story, 2 men and a girl. The eternal triangle plus eternal youth equals a wacky little romance, which we'll bring you, if we may, in just a few seconds. I hope you'll enjoy it.
In that regard, perhaps we could take a second to remember aspects of what kind of life Orson Welles was in, or what kind of world he was living when we come to the last, as it were, part of his life, ending towards October of 1985, when he passed away, his heart practically giving away while he was at the typewriter working. What was 1985 like? Ronald Reagan was president, and Ronald Reagan knew Orson Welles quite well. They had both obviously gotten a start in Hollywood together. Reagan had also known him while he was a governor of California. Well, Reagan was. At the same time, the top grossing movie in America was Commando, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, who for his own part was a Hollywood product, even though he himself was from Austria, and would later take Ronald Reagan's old job as governor of California. There's not much of a record in terms of how Schwarzenegger and Welles interacted, or if they ever interacted with each other. One would love to know what impression one had of the other. In October of 1985, practically on the last day of his life, Orson Welles was getting ready to make an appearance, another appearance, on the show that he had been probably more invited to than any other, and that was the Merv Griffin show. One of the things that Orson loved was to perform magic tricks, and he was just a big lover always from his youth of sleight of hand of the magician. Unfortunately, not only was he not a great magician, his love exceeded his talent, but now in the 1980s he was so overweight, and so it was very difficult for him to cut a deck of cards and to move with the kind of quickness that you needed in order to have the kind of the charm and the essence of the magician. And that didn't stop Orson Welles from loving what he needed to do. Everybody knows that a magician is always going to, by definition, cheat. The question is, where is the cheat? Because when you're young, you believe that it is magic, and when you're old, you believe that, of course, it's a technique, and that where is the trick? You've been fooled in some way. The fact that you can't find the source no less, let's say, gripping on you dramatically than it was when you were younger, and you believed that it was actually magic. And so what Orson Welles did when he came into Merv Griffin's show is he would have people that he would set up in the audience, and he would call on them as if they were random people. And this didn't always work. I mean, his little magic show was in fact much of what he was thinking about in terms of doing it in his own films. We know that F for Fake is one big magic trick, but he did this in many other things. Just loved magic. And it was very funny because sometimes his little circle of young magicians were participating in these, let us say, micro show within a show that he was pulling off.
A gentleman with a wristwatch. That's the... Anybody? That's the wrong kind. Not a digital one. One with an arrow. You've got one. Would you come up on the stage, sir? Please. Thank you. Have you shuffled the pack? Up the stairs there. Now, would you come along here? We want a picture of the stage, and I hope they can get it. Can they see the stage down here? The floor of the stage.
No, what we professional liars hope to serve is truth. I'm afraid the pompous word for that is art. Picasso himself said it. Art, he said, is a lie. A lie that makes us realize the truth. To the memory of that great man who will never cease to exist, I offer my apologies. And wish you all, true and false, a very pleasant good evening.